Did you know that combining onions with certain foods can lead to severe health issues? Yes, you heard it right. There's more to food than just combining flavors for a satisfying meal. It's also about understanding how certain food combinations can affect your health. In this discussion, we will focus on one such food item. Onions, a common ingredient in our kitchens. We are going to explore how pairing onions with certain foods can lead to discomfort, and in some cases, serious health concerns. We will talk about 10 everyday foods, including some vegetables, dairy products, and fast foods. All these foods can potentially cause problems when eaten with onions, ranging from simple bloating to increased risk of cardiovascular diseases. So, let's embark on this eye-opening journey together. And remember, knowledge is the first step to prevention. But before we proceed, please hit that subscribe button so that you never miss our future videos to stay updated about your optimal health and wellness. Because we aim to keep you healthy and happy with a long life. Now let's start our exploration. First on our list is cabbage. Now who doesn't love a good coleslaw or a hearty cabbage soup? But here's something you might not know. When you mix cabbage with onions, you're setting the stage for some serious discomfort. Both these ingredients can cause fermentation in your intestines. This might sound like a science experiment gone wrong, but it's actually a natural process. The problem is this fermentation leads to the creation of gas. And where there's gas, there's bloating. So you end up feeling like a balloon ready to pop. It's not fun and it's not pretty. This is why it's crucial to consider the effects of food combinations on our digestive system. It's not just about the taste, but also about how these foods behave together inside our body. So remember, it's best to keep your cabbage and onions separate. Next up, we have dairy products. Now, who doesn't love a good cheese or a dollop of cream? But when it comes to mixing these with onions, we might want to think twice. Here's why. Dairy products, known for their slow digestion, are a stark contrast to onions, which accelerate the digestive process. This stark difference in digestion speed can lead to an unwanted party in your stomach, a fermentation fest, if you will. And the main event, gas production. Yes, that's right. The slow digesting dairy and fast digesting onions can cause a gas buildup. This can lead to discomfort, bloating, and can be particularly problematic for those with sensitive digestive systems. So, as much as you might enjoy a creamy onion soup or a cheesy onion gratin, it's advisable to avoid combining dairy and onions. Remember, a happier digestive system leads to a happier you. Avoid combining dairy and onions for a happier digestive system. Third on our list is red meat. A popular choice for many, red meat, however, is high in compounds called purines. Now, these purines are typically metabolized into uric acid in our bodies. Onions, on the other hand, can stimulate the production of this uric acid. You might ask, what's the big deal about uric acid? Well, excess uric acid can lead to a painful condition known as gout, characterized by severe attacks of pain, redness and tenderness in joints, often the joint at the base of the big toe. So when you pair your juicy steak with a side of sautéed onions, you're essentially creating a recipe for an increased risk of gout. By keeping your red meat and onions separate, you're not just saving yourself from a potential gout attack, but also promoting a healthier dietary choice. Keep your red meat and onions separate to lower your risk of gout. Now, let's talk about alcohol. Many of us enjoy a glass of wine or a pint of beer. But did you know that combining this with onions could be harmful to your health? Both onions and alcohol have properties that can irritate the liver and pancreas. Onions contain organosulfur compounds, which, while beneficial in many ways, can also stimulate the liver's enzymes. Alcohol, on the other hand, is a known toxin that can cause inflammation and damage to the liver cells over time. When these two are consumed together, they can potentially amplify each other's effects, leading to an increased risk of liver damage. Moreover, the pancreas can also become irritated by this combination, elevating the risk of pancreatitis, a painful and potentially serious inflammation of the pancreas. Therefore, for the sake of your liver and pancreas health, it's best to avoid mixing alcohol and onions. Fifth on our list are fatty fried foods. Fried foods are scrumptious, aren't they? But when paired with onions, this indulgence can spell trouble for your health. Fatty fried foods are laden with saturated and trans fats. These fats, when consumed in excess, can elevate your cholesterol levels, potentially leading to cardiovascular problems in the long run. Now let's add onions to the mix. Onions, though packed with beneficial compounds, can also stimulate the production of cholesterol in the body. When you consume fatty fried foods and onions together, you're essentially doubling up on the cholesterol, which can put a significant strain on your heart and arteries. The key takeaway here is balance. A little bit of everything in moderation is generally okay, but overindulging in fatty foods and onions can have serious health implications over time. To maintain healthy cholesterol levels, try to avoid combining fatty foods and onions. Next, we have tomatoes. These luscious red fruits are a staple in many of our favourite dishes, from salads to sauces. But did you know, when combined with onions, they could potentially cause some stomach irritation? Both tomatoes and onions have a certain level of acidity. This acidity, while beneficial in moderation, can be a bit too much for our stomachs to handle when these two are consumed together. The result is often a discomfort, a rumbling in the stomach, or even a sharp nagging pain. Now, this doesn't mean you have to give up your beloved tomato-onion salad, but it might be worth considering to enjoy these two separately. Perhaps you could have your onions in the morning and save the tomatoes for later in the day. Remember, our bodies are unique and respond differently to various food combinations. So, for a happier stomach, it's best to avoid mixing tomatoes and onions. 8th on our list is eggs. Now, eggs are a truly versatile ingredient. Whether boiled, scrambled or fried, they're a breakfast staple in many households. However, pairing them with onions might not be the wisest choice. Here's why. Eggs are naturally high in cholesterol. This alone isn't necessarily a problem, as our bodies need some cholesterol to function properly. However, when you add onions into the mix, things start to change. Onions, you see, have a tendency to stimulate the production of cholesterol. This means that when you eat eggs and onions together, you could be getting more cholesterol than you bargained for. Over time, this can lead to an unhealthy increase in cholesterol levels. High cholesterol levels in the blood can increase the risk of heart disease and stroke. So next time you're thinking about scrambling those eggs with a bit of onion, consider this. To maintain healthy cholesterol levels, keep your eggs and onions separate. Next up, we have potatoes. Now, who doesn't love a good potato dish, right? But coupling them with onions might not be the best idea. You see, potatoes are high in starch. When consumed, this starch can be fermented in our intestines, a process that can lead to uncomfortable gas and bloating. Now imagine combining that with onions. Onions have the potential to accelerate this fermentation process, increasing the chances of experiencing digestive discomfort. The combination of these two, while perhaps delicious in a stew or a roast, might leave you clutching your stomach in regret later on. It's also worth noting that both potatoes and onions are root vegetables, and they have a tendency to absorb and concentrate substances from the soil, including potentially harmful ones. So, not only can the combination lead to digestive issues, but it could also potentially increase your exposure to these substances. For a comfortable digestion, it's best to avoid mixing potatoes and onions. 10th on our list is bread. Now bread, a staple in many of our diets, is rich in carbohydrates. When we think of comfort food, often a simple slice of bread generously layered with butter comes to mind. However, combining bread with onions may not be the best idea for your digestive system. You see, carbohydrates like those found in bread can undergo fermentation in the intestines. This process produces gas, which can lead to discomfort, bloating, and sometimes even pain. Onions, being the complex little bulbs they are, also contribute to this process. So, while a hearty onion soup may seem like the perfect accompaniment to your crusty bread roll, it's worth considering the potential consequences. The combination can lead to an uncomfortable, bloated feeling that could put a damper on your day. To avoid bloating, keep your bread and onions separate. It's a small change, but your tummy will thank you for it. Finally, we have legumes. Legumes, a nutritional powerhouse, are packed with dietary fibre, and while fibre is beneficial for our health, it can create some discomfort when combined with certain foods. Enter onions. Onions, though flavorful and nutritious, can instigate a bit of a ruckus in our digestive system when eaten with legumes. The high fiber content in legumes can be fermented in the intestines, a process that, while natural, can lead to a bit of gas and bloating. Onions in their own right can also contribute to this. The result? A symphony of discomfort that can leave you feeling less than stellar. So, while a bean and onion stew might seem like a good idea, you might want to reconsider. We're not saying you can't enjoy these foods, far from it. But for a smooth digestion, it's best to keep your legumes and onions separate. As we wrap up, it's important to remember that while onions have many health benefits, they can cause issues when combined with certain foods. In our journey today, we've learned that some combinations are better left untried. Cabbage and onions, for instance, can lead to uncomfortable gas and bloating due to fermentation in our intestines. Similarly, dairy products and onions can cause the same issues due to their contrasting digestion speeds. Meanwhile, red meat and onions can increase the risk of gout because both stimulate the production of uric acid. Alcohol and onions, on the other hand, can irritate the liver and pancreas, potentially leading to liver damage and pancreatitis. Fatty fried foods and onions can raise cholesterol levels, while tomatoes and onions can irritate the stomach. Eggs and onions also stimulate cholesterol production, and potatoes and onions can cause gas and bloating due to high starch content. Similarly, high-carb bread and onions, as well as fiber-rich legumes and onions, can cause gas and bloating. Keep these tips in mind to enjoy a healthy and comfortable diet. Thank you for watching and take care.